support us in executing this webinar. Good morning,
Thank
everyone.
you.
And I want to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to our today's webinar. This is part of our non-financial services as Ed Partners Africa. Just to give a short brief of who Ed Partners Africa is, we are a non-banking financial institution that supports edu financing and specifically targeting private schools in Kenya and hoping to grow to other parts of Africa. So today, as part of our Beyond Loan programs, we'll be tackling a topic and today's webinar by the name Child Abuse, or Preventing and Responding to Matters to do with Child Abuse. Based on a recent statistics from UNICEF, is that cases of child abuse in Kenya have risen to 40%, and is our target to ensure that the same goes down to 15% or even less. And also the government, together with other various stakeholders within Kenya, are playing a bigger role or a bigger part in ensuring that some of these cases have gone down to 15% or even less. We have the government developing policies and also adapting various policies and enacting various laws just to ensure that the child is protected against matters to do with child abuse. However, we are still realizing that there's a bigger exposure of children when it comes to matter to do with violence, abuse, harmful parenting, or rather poor or lack of parental care, or even poor parenting skills, and even sexual exploitation. And as Ed Partners Africa, I just want to let you know that we are there to the child protection policy, and we know very well that this is one of the most important policies to guard our children, especially in schools. And today we saw it very important as Ed Partners to see how to just sensitize our school directors and various stakeholders within the community on how to prevent and respond to matters to do with child abuse. And who else can execute on this topic today? None other than our representative from Childline. That is none other than Mariam, who is also a child counselor. And before I hand over to Mariam, I want to let you know that this webinar is recorded, and the same will be shared to some of our social media platforms, and to let you know that also as Ed Partners, we are there to matters to do with data protection. And without any further ado, I'll want to let Miriam just join us as our panelist and proceed, of course, with our today's webinar. Karibu sana, Miriam. Miriam, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now hear you.
Oh, so sorry. As I was saying, my name is Mariana Osia. I am a counselor at Childline Kenya, and today I am here to represent Childline Kenya, which is a non-governmental organization which provides child protection services through ICT innovations. About Childline Kenya, the vision that we have in our organization is that we want to create a society where children's rights and dignity are upheld at all times. And I'm glad that Betty, as she was opening up, as she was giving us her opening remark, she also mentioned that ED partners are also in line with our vision. So us working hand in hand is going to be a good thing. The mission that we have in Childline Kenya is that we want to promote the child rights and to enhance child protection to our children. The core values of our of our organization, we highly rely on integrity from us and the various organizations that we have partnered with, that we are working together with. Also, reliability. That's also a major value within our organization, because we want the society to understand that we are a reliable organization, that when you come out and cry out for help, that you will find a person, or rather a counselor, who will be ready to help you to get through the situation that the child is in through. Leave alone even the child. Sometimes we have parents that are going through situations because of their children. In Childline Kenya, we are a reliable partner, because we give you referrals, especially for parents, as to where you can go and get the help that you need. And when you get the help that you need, it means that your child is in a better position to be the person that they are supposed to be. Commitment. We are committed to our work. We are committed to the fact that we want to see that the future generations that we have are growing up to be the people that they are supposed to be. We are also committed to see that the society is in a better place for our children. So apart from that, we have 3 strategies that we work well with, that we work well in, that concerns child protection. The first one is awareness creation on child protection services. We have come to also to realize that not many people are aware that there's a place where you can go and be able to get your help. Protection services. For example, we work hand in hand with the director, with the children's department, that is a department in the government. We work hand in hand with them. And it is one of the departments it's one of our partners among the various partners that we have that are keen when it comes to child protection services. They offer child protection services. They also help us, help the society, or rather help the children. Like, let's say, for example, street children. If we receive a call that we have this street child who is here in such and such a place that needs help, what happens is that we refer those children, or rather the client who has called, to go to the nearest children's office that is within the sub-county of where they have called us from. Let them report the case at the children's office. And at the children's office, what will they do? They will know how they can place this child into a safer place, so that this child can be safe, away from the streets, away from hunger, away from the various issues that happen within the streets, and even to give them a better education. Number 2, we optimize access to child protection services. As I was saying earlier on, is that not many people know about that, the fact that a child can receive protection from some place. So whenever we receive such calls, and whenever we are talking to our clients, and whenever we are counseling, we always make sure to give them the referrals of where they can be able to get access towards the child protection services. Number 3, strengthen the response. We report, the cases are reported through us. And when the cases are reported, we all also work hand in hand with the various partners, for example, that I've given you, the children's offices, which is under the government, to make sure that the issue that has been reported has been responded to. Okay, the services that are offered at the helpline in Kenya are responding to cases of child abuse violation. We also have direct intervention and referral for legal support. We also have the social inquiry, rescue, temporary safe shelter, medical care, tracing and integration. We also provide, there's also the providing of ongoing mental health support to clients. child and family therapy and counseling. We also offer counseling. At times, we also have our walk-ins who come in, who need help. And when they come in and need help, we have counselors who are ready to be here to help them. And also, we offer counseling services via our toll-free number, 116. Whenever you call and you need counseling, we can also offer counseling through there. We also provide information about various child protection issues and services. We are a bed of information. We have the information that the society requires. So whenever you call us, when you have issues that concur with child protection, we have the information, or rather the referrals, where you can go and get the help that you need. Okay, so, and then also to know that Childline Kenya is also a helpline. It is a call center which works 24/7. So during the day, there are counselors who are ready to help you. At night, there are also counselors who are ready to help you. And it is from Sunday to Sunday. There is no, we are very serious when it comes to the issues of children. We want to see a better generation for our children. And that's why we have dedicated ourselves 24/7 to be there so that we can be able to cater to every issue that comes up that pertains a child. So that's all about Childline Kenya. And as for the topic of today, I just want us to dive into it. It's all about child abuse. But one thing I need us to understand is that who is a child? Let's just start from there. These are two words, child and abuse. But who is a child? A child is a person, according to the law of Kenya, that is the Constitution and the Children's Act, is a person who is under the age of 18 years old. And a person who is under the age of 18 years old is a person who is not able to make up, or rather, to make up decisions on their own. This is a person who still needs help from their day-to-day activities. Like when it comes to school, they need schooling, and the parents need to be there to take them to school. They need to be provided for. They need to be provided for shelter, even clothing and everything. So that is who a child is. So let us go to child abuse. What is child abuse? Child abuse, as we all know, is the physical, emotional ill treatment towards a child. For example, let's say like emotional. A child has gone through a situation, or rather, let's say, like for us, I'm so sure most of us here are parents, but yeah, maybe a child has done something. For example, maybe a child has broken the favorite cup of the father or the dad. So without you understanding that this child is a person who is still growing up, a person who needs to be nurtured in a loving and caring way, a person who needs to understand whenever they have done wrong, we need to correct them so that to help them understand that this and this is not right. So most likely, without you even knowing as a parent, you come and beat up the child and you speak words that words towards the child. And you, without even knowing, you have caused harm towards the child. Let's say physically, you have beaten up the child until maybe he or she is bleeding up. Because ideally, we are not refuting the fact that we need to discipline our children, but there's a way that you discipline your child. It's not that you're disciplining your child in a way that you, you're, okay, in a way that you end up hurting them. Even speaking to them, we need to be very careful of what we speak to them. Because as we have interacted with our clients here, most of the children that call in to ask for help, or even the walk-ins that come in for counseling sessions, when you tend to probe them, because even before you articulate whatever the issue is or what the root cause to the problem, we have to probe them through questions. And when you probe them, you come to understand that these children, it's something that the mother did, or it's something that the father did, or it's something that the mother or father said to them. That's why it is in them, and it has built up that to a point that the child has to come in for counseling. So you see, that is emotional abuse. And when it comes to beating them up and everything, that one now comes down to physical abuse. According to the World Health Organization, it defines child abuse as all forms of physical, emotional ill treatment, sexual abuse, neglect, and exploitation that results in actual or potential harm to the child's health, development, and dignity. Sexual abuse is also another form of child abuse. Sexual abuse is where there's any interaction between a child and an adult or another child, but between a child and an adult, in which the child is used for sexual stimulation of the perpetrator or an observer. Sexual abuse can include both touching and non-touching behaviors. Now, touching behaviors can include voyeurism, which is trying to look at the child's naked body, exhibitionism, or exposing the child to pornography. There are so many cases that are coming up right now. Actually, between the 2007 to last year, 2023, sexual abuse has been reported to like 11,749 cases between 2007 to 2023. So you see, it is something that is there, and it is something that is happening. And ideally, I can say that the number is higher because most of the times sexual abuse, when it happens, most of the times is within a family setting. So because it is within a family setting, people normally feel like, no, we should not say this. Let this thing just stay within the family. Let us resolve the case within the family. And that's why I can say that this number, it might be on the lower side, because most of the time such cases are just handled within and not let out due to fear of stigmatization or stigmatization towards the child, or even the perpetrator who has hurt the child. Okay, and sexual abuse can also involve a child with another child. For example, a teenager girl who is 13 years old with a boy who is 16 years old. We have said, as I was saying, a child is below the age of 18 years old. So this is a child with another child. And they have decided to do whatever they have decided to do. We cannot term this thing as it being the right thing, no, because at the end of it all, they are below the age of 18 years old. So that also is another example of child abuse. As I was reading, it was saying, I read that sexual abuse can include both touching and non-touching behaviors. So non-touching behaviors can include voyeurism, whereby you're trying to look at a child's naked body. Trying to look at a child's naked body. For example, in TikTok, TikTok is an app that I am so sure most of us are well informed about. There are some places where you can, if you want to join, as in there's a live session where things are happening at that moment, and yet they're being recorded for other people to see. So this child has been placed there with the naked body, so that the other people who are into such behaviors can be able to view this child's naked body and receive the stimulation that they need from it. Exhibitionism, or exposing the child to pornography. Exposing the child to pornography, giving this child something that let's say a video on a phone, giving the child this video on the phone to watch, so that they can be able to see and also be able to articulate whatever you as the abuser want them to do towards you. I hope up to there, tuko sawa. Okay, on to the next one. Neglect is also another form of child abuse. Neglect is defined as an act of omission in the care of a child leading to potential or actual harm. Neglect may include inadequate healthcare, education, supervision, protection from hazards in the environment, and unmet basic needs such as clothing and food. As I was saying, we are a call center whereby we receive calls for issues for children under the age of 18 years old. And most of the time, most of the cases that we receive are in neglect, whereby the government of Kenya has a law whereby a child is brought into the world by two parents, the mother and the father. So the mother needs to contribute 50% and also the father needs to contribute 50%. But you find that there are situations where when a woman gets pregnant, the father to this child or whoever has impregnated this lady denies the pregnancy. Now the lady is left to take care of this child all alone. Whereby, if this is the case, and maybe the woman is not from let's say has no salary, is a person who has their own businesses, let's say a casual worker. If this woman is a casual worker, you will tend to find that this child will not receive the highest provision that he or she needs. That's why now you'll get to see that this child, either they have inadequate food, or they are not able to go to school, or they are not able to be given to be dressed up well, or when it comes to healthcare, even if they go to the hospital, it is not adequate enough. It is inadequate. Why? Because this lady is here trying to provide the 100% that this child needs. And yet this 100% is not her only. It's supposed to be her and the father of the child. And of which the reverse is also true, because many of the times you have also heard that ladies have given birth, left the father with the child and gone to look for work. For example, you have given birth to a child. Not even 2 weeks later on, you do not want anything to do with the child or the father of the child, and you just wake up one day and disappear. 2 weeks, that child has not received the enough care that this child needs from the mother. We all know that a child needs to breastfeed up to a point of 6 months. They say 6 months, then they start eating. But ideally, it's supposed to be up to 2 years. But this child for 2 weeks has been left there with the father, who has no idea of what is supposed to happen to this child. When this father is calling in to ask for help, all you can hear from the background is the child crying. And ideally, you as a counselor, especially as female counselor, you can be able to understand that this child is crying because of he or she is hungry. And when they are hungry, they need the breast milk from their mother so that they can be able to feed on. But now, ideally, the mother is not there. This child is now forced into eating, let's say, porridge, or at times water. And yet, when you go to the hospital, you are advised that the child needs to breastfeed on you exclusively for 6 months before you start weaning the child. Now you see, if this child has been already introduced into food at 2 weeks, the immunity system of this child will not be okay. Now that one now comes to inadequate health care. And at the end of it all, what does it happen now to this child? This child is not able to grow up to the potential that they need to grow up, to the potential that they need to have as they grow up. Because now, for such a child, as they grow up, Okay, as they grow up, they tend to become sickly. Why? Because they needed that the immune system was not built up well. And the immune system is only built up through the breast milk of the mother. Neglect is the most common form of child abuse reported through the helpline. As I said, it is the most common child abuse that we receive on everyday basis. Everyday basis. And parents, we really need to look into this. Our children, they need us. And they need us to be there for them, to give them the love that they need, to give them the care that they need, and even to give them protection. Most of the times that we leave our children with our house helps. If anything happens to this child via the house helps, through the house helps, have we rendered them any justice by giving them any protection? No. Yes, we understand we are out there looking for them, as in providing for them, hustling here and there so that you can be able to provide for them. But let it not beget the fact that we need to be there for our children at every point that we can be. If your child is able to talk to you, be able to be, as in when you come back home, try to find out how was your day. Mulishindaje na auntie? Did auntie did auntie stay with you well? Has anything happened? Anything? And even I've come to realize, even as parents, we need to talk to our children. Let our children know what is right and what is wrong. As I was discussing in another forum, we have grown up with a mentality that our children need to always listen to what grown-ups say. But one thing you have not spoken to your child about is that what is it that this grown-up needs to tell you that is right and that is wrong, that you need to do and that you do not need to do. That's now where the gap comes in. Because if this house help tends to abuse your child and you're not there to protect them, and this house help tells the child, nyamaza na nisisikie umeambia mam hata kitu yoyote, this child, because he or she has been told, always listen to your grown-ups, this child will listen to the grown-up, to the house help, and he or she will not be able to tell you anything. And then you will not be able to know anything. Go on with your business thinking that your child is okay. But in real sense, your child is not okay. So we also need to explain to our children, this is right. And when you hear this from a grown-up, listen to it. But when you hear such and such and such from a grown-up, do not listen to it. And if anything happens, come let me know as soon as possible. Okay, we have a new emerging exploitative practices of children in the online spaces. There's an emerging practice that is coming up through the internet. The internet is a double-edged sword, whereby it has its pros and it has its cons. It has its pros and it has its cons. But also at the same time, the cons is that it also facilitates age-inappropriate content and online sexual harms of children by adults and peers. As I was saying about the TikTok, there's a part in TikTok where you can go viral live, or leave alone even TikTok. We also have YouTube. There's a place where you unaona kabisa it is live. And this child is exposed to such inappropriate videos, inappropriate content. And if you're not careful, if you're not that type of a parent who is keen to check on whatever your child is doing via the internet, you might not even know that your child is on the way, is on a path that is not right. So even as parents and even in schools, we need to understand what the internet does. Our children, most of the time, okay, right now they have closed at home, but when they reopen, they open school and they're within the school setting, they're there for like 3 months. Let's say for like second term, when they reopen, they will be there for 3 months. As the school environment, we also need to sensitize our children about the internet and what the internet does, the goodness of the internet, and also the harmful that the internet can also bring. So we also need to sensitize our children and help them to understand what content is right when it comes to the internet and what content is not right. Even children themselves nowadays are making content and posting them in the internet themselves. When your child is making content, we do not want to suppress our children into a place where, oh, no, you cannot do this and this. If your child is creative, if your child is that spontaneous child, if your child is the outgoing and your child loves to do such things, it is okay for you to allow them to do it, because it's also a way for them to interact with other people. But what are they releasing to the internet? Check the content of what your child is creating, and also what content is your child looking at. It is also something that we need to be very keen with. We have phones. Our children nowadays have phones, and they have their tabs and everything. Some have laptops. It is very paramount as a parent, if you yourself can link those devices with your own phone, because it is possible, so that whenever your child is looking at something, you're able to know, my child looked at this and this today, and looked at this and this today. And if the content they have watched is not the right content, there and there you're able to know, and you're able to stop that behavior at that point, because it's just the beginning. You already know whatever your child is watching. So whenever a wrong thing comes up and your child has watched it, it gives you a platform to talk to them. I think it's the English people who say you strike when the iron is hot. Thing. It is not a right thing, and it can cause harm to themselves, and it can cause harm to others, just in case there's that sharing and everything. Okay, a child who is being abused, what are the signs? The signs of a child who is being abused: loss of trust. As we said earlier on, a child who is being abused, especially most of the times, it happens a child is abused by someone who is an adult. And to children, adults are people that children look up to, so that they can be able to know, they can be able to trust. They know that this adult is able to protect me. But if this adult is still the same person uh, who is here abusing me, then it means I cannot trust this person. That now comes now to the loss of trust. This child will not have trust towards any adult. They will be skeptical when an adult comes around them. They'll be skeptical when an adult is becoming, is becoming friendly with them, because not many adults want to do any harm to you. And we also and the way this an adult who wants to cause you harm, how they'll come to you is by becoming friendly to you first. So it ends up the child doesn't have trust towards adults. Now the child now starts to self-blame themselves. They blame themselves because they ideally they have grown up knowing you're supposed to listen to your adults. Now I've listened to this adult. He or she has done whatever they have done to me. Now it is you start now blaming yourself as the child. You blame yourself towards what has happened. I thank God this is a school forum, because there's a case I received. I'll give this as an example. There's a case I received of a child who was molested by the teacher. And the teacher had the audacity to tell this child that even if you tell anyone, remember it is your word against my word. Remember, this is a person who is an authority over this child. Already through that statement, this child has already gone down. This child will start blaming themselves. that why did I allow him to do this to me? But you're at the back of their head, this is a person who is an authority over them. Now, even if I say them, what will happen? It can be their word against their word. And most of the cases, the perpetrator gets to be favored because people will not be able to understand why you as a child, you're claiming that this person did this and this to you. And yet, in real sense, it is the truth, which again will lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. A child starts having stress, left, right, and center. The academic goes down, and academic performance goes down. They don't want to eat, as in they start having eating disorders. Even when it comes to sleep, their sleeping routine also changes. They are always anxious. They are always on edge. They don't want to socialize with anyone. And with the post-traumatic stress disorder, it now leads to crippling anxiety and clinical depression, whereby now this child has to be taken to hospital so that it can be ascertained, as in it can be, so that they can find out what is disturbing this child. And when the information now comes out after so much probing, you now find out that this is something that happened to your child, let's say maybe 5 years ago. But this child has been bottling this thing up, and it has just been disturbing this child to a point now it has gone full blown. Paka, now you have to take your child to the hospital and now start treating them with anxiety and depression. The next thing is withdrawal. This child doesn't want to be in school. Most of the times we find cases because of this and this happened. This child doesn't want to go back to that school where they were. This child, for example, let's say like lesbianism and gayism, this is something that is happening in our schools. A child will close school and he or she will come and tell the mother, Mom, I don't want to go back to that school. I don't want to go back to that school. The parent asks, why don't you want to go back to that school? Remember, this child has already lost trust and everything. He or she will not say anything. They will just tell you, I don't want to go to school, and they're not giving you any reason. You as a parent, you need to look into it. Even as teachers, we need to look into it and see, why don't these children want to go back to school? What is the main issue over here? And not just to assume that this child is becoming big-headed, doesn't want to listen, doesn't want to go to read and everything. We also need to find out from this child what is happening. Why don't you want to go back to school? Why are you withdrawing from? You just want to sit alone. What has happened? So unattended violence against children or trauma can lead to addiction. You can get this child who now starting get addicted. Let's say if now the child was exposed to sex and everything, if it is not looked into, this child will now become an addict to sex, an addict to watching pornography, an addict to masturbation, a child below the age of 18 years old, ideally, which is not supposed to be there. Alcohol and drugs. We all know that alcohol and drugs, the main reason as to why people say I do alcohol and drugs is to forget the issues that I have, of which ideally like 40%, I think it's normally part of the case. So this child tends to, let me take alcohol or let me do drugs, and then bahatimbaya, the peer group that he or she has already into it. Now she will tend to feel like, okay, if let me join my group, do whatever I need to do because I have these issues. Let me do drugs, let me do alcohol because they will help me at least to forget whatever I am going through. Difficulty in forming relationships. You have Okay, you can become friends, but maintaining the relationship, it is very difficult. Why? You already have your own fears. The child already has their own fears. What if this and this happens to me? What if they also do the same thing that they have done to me? What if they also tend to just wake up and leave me? Especially when it comes to child neglect. Let's say the children have grown up in a setting where the mother and father have been there, but now all of a sudden the father and mother, they have splitted up. This child, if it is not dealt with, if the children are not talked to, and to help them understand that the issues that we are having, it's between us as your parents. But one thing you need to understand is that we love you regardless of what, and you'll always be the number one priorities in our lives. If it is not dealt with at that point, this child will grow up with a trauma, knowing that people will come to your lives and they will leave whenever they feel like leaving. So this child will find it difficult to have a relationship or even make friends and maintaining that relationship. Why? The trauma is that you can decide to leave at any point you want to leave. Or let's say if it's sexual abuse, I would not want to maintain a friendship with, let's say, for maybe the opposite sex, because if I become friendly with you due to the post trauma, if I become friendly with you, you might start looking at me in a different way and start forcing me to do things that I wasn't supposed to do. Separation from family and friends. You just want to separate yourself from family and friends. You just want to stay alone. Stay alone. And it is not your fault. It's not the child's fault. You're reacting towards whatever is in you, a trauma that has not been dealt with. Poor school performance, as I was saying. When such things, okay, like let's say, for example, in the platform of schools, children, lesbianism and gayism. Maybe they have tried initiating you and you have refused. Now you become their target. They bully you left, right, and center. What will happen again? After that, your performance of this child will start going down, going down, going down, going down. And if as teachers, you're not careful to look into it and see whatever is happening, you'll just claim that this child is not serious, is not learning well. Well, ideally, it is not their fault. It's something that they are going through. Okay, how to prevent child abuse in school? Encourage peer discussions on child abuse among teachers. I'm aware that in our schools we have the guiding and counseling departments. The guiding and counseling departments, this is now where you come in. Have a training with the teachers, because ideally most of the time not many people have the information that we are relaying right now. Let the teachers be trained on child abuse, or not any necessarily child abuse, but anything that relates to a child, anything that touches any sphere of a child. Let teachers be trained. Let them understand. Let them understand the signs. As if you see such a sign, you have to understand this and this thing has happened. Let us not just work in ignorance. Because this has happened, you just uh, write off the child, knowing that this child is naughty, this child does not perform well in school. Well, ideally, if you looked into the situation well, you'll find out that this child has been going through issues that is making them either be naughty, be too quiet, be wanting to stay alone. Their performances are going down. So it needs peer discussions among themselves. It needs to be encouraged. Have staff who are trained to identify signs of abuse, including what to do if they or someone else is worried about child. That's what I've just said. Train the teachers. Train the teachers. Train the teachers to understand and to learn things that affect children. Allocate a designated teacher responsible for dealing with child protection. If you can have 2 or 3 teachers who have taken upon themselves, apart from being a teacher, they have also gone to learn about child protection and everything, it can be an added advantage in the schools. You can be, that teacher can be able to spot as quickly as possible what this child is suffering from. Incorporate procedures for checking staff before they work with children. The example that I gave you, this teacher molested this boy. If this teacher had, as in, if the procedures for checking the staff were top notch, like highest, such things would not have happened. Because ideally, also, working with children is not an easy thing. And working with children, you need to have empathy towards them, to understand them, to know them. Have a child protection policy, which includes procedures to be followed if a teacher or other member of the staff is accused of harming a child. Have a child protection policy. Let's go back to the drawing board. Draft that policy whereby any child who is brought into your premises, parents can be rest assured that this child is protected. Because remember, you're staying with these children for the longest time, especially those who are in boarding. You stay with the children for the longest time. Within that environment, that child needs to be protected because the parents are not there. That child needs to be protected. So have a policy whereby if there's someone who has had this child, they need to be accounted for. They need to be reported, and the procedure needs to be followed. So when it comes to reporting about child abuse, we have our online reporting channels, social media of various institutions and organizations, Facebook. Like, for example, here in Childline Kenya, we have our Facebook, we have Twitter, we are also in TikTok, we are also in Instagram. All those are our social handles. You can relay your case through those social handles, and you can be rest assured that it will be taken care of. There is someone who will have that information, retract it, and have someone, a counselor like me, look into it and see that this child has received the appropriate help that he or she needs. Also, 116, as our toll-free number is 116. You can call in at whatever time, as I said from the beginning, 24/7. This is a number where you can call in and you can be rest assured that you'll find a counselor online who will be able to help you with the issue that you have brought in, who will be able to help you and refer you to the appropriate channels where you can get help and where this child, in case of abuse, can get the justice that he or she needs. We have media houses, TV and radio stations. We have also the state and non-state online facilities and institutions. We also have like DCI, National Police Service. There's also NACADA when it comes to alcohol and drug abuse. There's Inua Jamii, which is located in the children's offices. There's KSITE. This now is an institution whereby you see like these videos that are going around for children and everything. We can now direct this instead of forwarding these videos, because at times you can get videos forwarded many times, and yet it's for a child who is being abused. Instead of people forwarding these messages, forwarding to the various groups that they have within their WhatsApp chats and everything, KSearch is a place where these videos need to be redirected to so that they can be able to see where this video came from and the appropriate action is taken. Hospitals also have social services whereby you can get counseling when it comes to a child who has, let's say, been raped, we don't use the word rape, it's being defiled. A child who has been defiled and needs that quick counseling and also constant counseling. There's Usikimye, then there's Red Cross also. There's one-to-one gender, one-to-one. There's Gender Violence Recovery Center. There's Missing Child Kenya, and now us, Child Helpline 116. So offline reporting channels can be physical letters through the post office or speak out boxes. You had me talking about walking to the various offices like Polycare, children's offices, healthcare facilities. Even us ourselves here, we also take in walk-ins. Then reporting to credible individuals like village elders and Nyumbakumi representatives. By the way, village elders and Nyumbakumi representatives have proved to be a very reliable way of reporting, because through now the village elders and the Nyumbakumi, if this village elder is a trusted one, you can be rest assured that this child will receive help. Why? Because through the village elder ama Nyumbakumi representatives, it is very easy for them to go to the chief and the chief to give them that audience and to take the matter with the weight it deserves. Nyumbakumi representatives, they also help us to reach the children's offices as quickly as possible. The children's offices also work hand in hand with people called CPVs, Child Protection Volunteers. These are people who are within the village community, who look out for children who are going through issues, who are going through abuse, children who have, let's say, disappeared from one place and then found themselves in another place. CPVs are the people now who are on ground and work hand in hand with the children's department so that children can be able to have a good environment where they can be able to grow up and to live to their full potential. That's all for my presentation today. Okay, as you can see, as Betty is helping me with the National Child Helpline Services, there we are. As I was telling you, 116 is a toll-free number and it's there 24/7. Call and you can be rest assured that you'll find help. Then we also have our chat, www.childlinekenya.co.ke. That's our website. Facebook, you can say Childline Helpline 116 Kenya. We are also at Twitter at Childline Kenya. And then we also have WhatsApp. That's the number 0722 116 116. Just in case you call the 116 and find it that we are busy, the calls are many, the WhatsApp also can be of use. And especially when you have information, let's say when you have backing evidence to the case that you are reporting, the WhatsApp number 0722 116 116 is the best platform, because there you can relay your case and now also give us the evidence that you have, and so that we can help you from there. We also have an Instagram page at Childline Kenya. You can check it out. We are also there. Through there, you can also relay the case that you have, and you can be rest assured that there is the person who is handling our social media platform will be able to relay the information to us so that we can be able to help you and also help you at the right time. We also have email, which is 116@childlinekenya.co.ke. Send if you feel like you need or inquiry, you want to understand something. Please use these platforms, our social media platforms, to relay whatever queries you have, and you will get the direct response to the query that you have raised. And on to the next one. As you can see, as we was telling you about, I gave you an example about sexual abuse. The numbers that we have dealt with as from 2006 to 2023, you can see it's that 11,749. And remember, this is not all the cases. Some of them are haven't been brought out. especially because of stigmatization. Let's say, because there are cases where a daughter is raped by their own father, and the daughter ends up becoming pregnant. You see, when it comes out to the family, that is just it is just pure stigmatization, because ideally, why would a father do that to his own child? So here, the cases, yes, they're that, but remember, most cases have not yet been reported. But you can now see those are the cases that we have, and those are the cases that we normally deal with: neglect, child trafficking, child labor, emotional abuse, FGM, physical abuse. As I am now winding up, thank you so much for that. I will love to uh, request Betty just at least 2 or 3 minutes for my colleague. She's called Muluki,
Yeah.
Bakita Muluki, to come in at least and explain, because within our organization we have a group that is called Expanding Child Participation. Let her briefly touch on it and
Yeah.
explain the jury, so
Mm.
that people can be able to understand, because I know that with the school settings and everything, this group of ours, we can work hand in hand with the directors of the various schools, so that we can be able to reach as many children as possible. Otherwise, thank you very much for this opportunity. I am humbled and honored to be able to present the information that we had, and I'm looking forward for a more good time. Thank you, Betty.
You're much welcome, Marianne. Muluki, over to you.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I will not take so much of your time because the time is not on our side. I want to appreciate my colleague Mariana for the wonderful presentation. As you get to understand what we do as Childline Kenya, like Mariana said, one of our pillars in our strategic plan is creating awareness. So this is just an opportunity to talk to the school directors and have them know that we engage with school children in sensitizing the children about child abuse and just hearing their thoughts and their views about how they relate in the online space. And we just have a conversation around that. That is why we call it child participation. So this is also an opportunity whereby with the school directors being here, they can grant us that accessibility to their children, and we are available to have that conversation with their children, either through a webinar or being physically there with them, so that we can continue this conversation about, how to take care of yourself. In case of anything, you can call 116 so that the children can understand the reporting pathways. And finally, just to mention to all of us, here at Childline Kenya, all these services are made available due to donors and well-wishers. So we have made it this far because of the contribution and the donations that different partners make to us. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that at the moment we have a 1 bob campaign, 1 bob shilling campaign. And you can send your 1 shilling or whatever amount that you feel like blessing us with to our pay bill number, which is 1160116, and the account number is your name. I'm going to repeat again. The pay bill number is 1160116, and the account number is your name. We look forward to more interactions with our school directors, and we are looking forward to the next session where we're going to talk about in detail about child participation, what we do with the children, how we engage with them, how we get the views of the children, and maybe the school directors, as they give you feedback, Betty, they can tell you their expectations as we prepare for the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Muluki, and thank you so much, Marianne, for that more elaborate webinar on child abuse. and even citing examples of the cases that you've handled under Childline. So at this juncture, I will ask if anyone who has a question. This is a question and answer session to our panelists. So if you have a question, you can use our chat box, you can use our Q&A platform, or even you can just raise your hand. I'll allow you to talk in the next like 10 minutes, a few minutes before we officially end our webinar. Anyone who has a question? You can just raise your hand, or you can just put it on our chat box. Okay, it seems there's none. Vivek, I'll give anyone chance, a few minutes to you have anything to say or even closing remarks other than a question. Okay, then it seems that we have all understood what has been presented by our panelists or even our Childline Kenya representatives. They have given their contacts in case probably we want to get support for any or to report any case in line with child abuse. They have the toll-free line that is 116, and they also have their Facebook pages. You can also inform us as Ed Partners Africa, just in case you're not able to get them directly, and we'll directly link you with them in case you have an issue of child abuse, or you have an issue of neglect, or any form of child abuse that you would like to report. We can always act as a linkage or a liaison between you and Childline Kenya. We have a question. Wambui Masharia has given her remarks. Thank you so much for that session. I've learned a lot and I'm now informed. Thank you so much, Wambui. And thank you so much, of course, Marianne and Muluki for sensitizing or for sensitization that you have accorded unto us. Thank you so much, Wambui. And we'll hope to see you, of course, in our next session that will be also tackling a continuation on child abuse. And so without any further ado, my number is 0711-656-953. My email address is betty.s@edpartnersafrica.com. If you have any question in line with the matters to do child abuse and you want us to link you directly with the Childline Kenya, you can always email me, you can always call me, or you can call directly Ed Partners Africa, or even through your relationship manager. Then we'll be able to support you in terms of ensuring that our children are well protected, our children are well guided, and our children are receiving the right assistance when it comes to reporting such kind of cases. So without any further ado, I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for attending our webinar for today. We'll have a part 2 of the same come next Friday, or rather we'll inform you early enough. And just before I end the session, I'll also want to take this opportunity to thank the Childline Kenya for according us this such kind of sensitization and even presentation. And until next time, I just want to let you know that as Ed Partners, we are there to matters to do with child protection. As we continue supporting you to promote quality education, we also we're cognizant of the fact that the child is the most important person when it comes to receiving education and receiving quality education. And therefore, their emotional, mental health is of matter. And as Ed Partners, we are willing and very ready to support each and every one of you in terms of ensuring that that child has a conducive environment to receive that quality education. Without any further ado, for me, it's a goodbye and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.